Hey, what's up artists, this is Wallet here, and today I want to share with you a really cool workflow using free 3D software like Blender and mixing it with painting. So I know a lot of you guys love painting and you find that 3D might be daunting and complex and complicated and all that kind of stuff, but it really doesn't have to be. Because as artists, we just want to create awesome stuff. You know, we want to make those cool creature concepts, environments and landscapes, characters, all that stuff. And with 3D, you can really get an amazing result. You can speed up your workflow, you can fly around in your scenes, take different shots. You get awesome perspective right away, different lighting setups, and all that kind of stuff. So it really works as a tool. It's just awesome. I love 3D and I've used it a lot in my work over the past decade or so. So yeah, I want to share more of my workflow with you and how that sort of works. Like this painting here that I just finished. It's actually the final result of my upcoming 3D for Artists course for beginners, and you can check that out in the description below and sign up to the waitlist. So I'll be teaching you how to create exactly this, so you can create it yourself from scratch. So the general sort of workflow that I do is, I generally have an idea, right? So I have an idea for what I want to have, what kind of concept, if it's a creature or landscape or maybe even an interior. And then I start basically, I mean, I can start in many ways, but I generally start inside of Blender or inside of the 3D software. And so what I do is I go into Blender here. So if we just open up Blender, you can see here that we have the default cube here. And as always, people delete it. But you know, if we just duplicate this guy, I can start like modeling things that I want to have here, doing something, whatever my idea is. And, you know, if I like it, you know, I already have all the perspective and everything. Let's say we duplicate it again, and then scale it. Like this, like that. So we have some sort of, you know, floor there. You can start building stuff like this. And in 3D, you can create really simple stuff right away and just print screen that and take that into Photoshop and start painting over it immediately. But of course, you can take it much further and make it like really realistic. So for example, like if I want to make, let's say, a landscape, I could create a plane here. Let's subdivide it. So don't worry about all this kind of stuff right now if you don't understand this thing. We'll be looking through it much more later. So this is super subdivided now. Typically you don't want to have too much there, but let's add a modifier. Let's displace it. So these are all tools that you can use. You know, there's so much stuff in 3D. You have different textures. You can even do like sculpting. You can texture painting, shading, animation, rendering. There's a lot of stuff, but as artists, you don't need to have too much to create some really nice art. So let's just displace it with some clouds maybe. And so now you see it takes this texture here and it displaces this plane. And then I can pretty much like control the plane or the texture, increase the depth a bit. And boom, just like that, you have some mountains, like it super quick like this. And then we can create like textures over it. We can do some water maybe. You can create some really, really nice stuff. You can even duplicate this whole thing. Scale it up, you know, you have some stuff in the background then. And then, you know, find a good angle for it, and then, you know, do your camera and stuff. So let's say we want to add some texture to this. We could go to our texture editor here. Let's see, shader editor. Can make a new shader, and you know, we can just add something quick here. I don't know. Let's do something from my library. And these are all free things. You know, it's this whole software is free, and all the textures that I'm using, they're free. The HDRIs, everything like that. Maybe let's use. Let's try aerial rocks. See how that looks. So don't worry about all this right now again. It's kind of complicated stuff if you've never seen this before. Maybe let's add that to this one as well. So that's the thing about 3D. It's like it's just a tool for us as artists. We won't make like super fancy, 3D animations and for movies and stuff. We just want to use it for our art. So let's take this light here that we have from the beginning, delete it, make a new one. Let's make a sun. And let's just point that sun a little bit like this. Just place it somewhere. And then we can maybe increase the strength. Let's do 5. Make it a bit reddish like this. So before we hit the render here, I'm just gonna make a cube. And this cube will actually be our volume. So we can make some really cool like atmospheric perspective like this. Like that. Just going through this quickly to show you guys sort of the main gist of 3D and how you can work with it. Let's delete this guy, make a principled volume. Place that volume in there. Density is too much. Let's do 0.01. Let's do a bit blue. And yeah, am I missing anything? I guess we could also go to texture here. Do right, so we can change the render engine to be cycles. It's gonna be much more realistic. And in settings here, we can change to displacement only. And now if I go in here and now I hit render, so I just find a cool like shot that I like. Maybe try, I don't know, try something like this. See how this looks. Yeah, it looks really weird, so that's because of the displacement. We can scale this down a bit. Let's do 0.01. So yeah, we're getting somewhere. I can go to the cube. Let's do a bit higher density actually. Let's do 0.1, see how that looks. Oh, that's way too much. 0.04. And so just like that, you have some scene here that you can like rotate around. You can check different types of angles. And you can even just take this and right away you can start painting over it. If we rotate the sun a bit, see you can get some interesting light effects. And actually we can switch around to the other engine here, so Eevee for example. So we can see a bit better and faster how things are looking. You get these nice God rays and stuff. And you're super quick like that, and you have some sort of scene. You can even add in like, let's go back to our editor here. Let's make a quick cube, make it smaller. This, maybe make it elongated, rotate it a bit. And of course, this is not the best way of modeling and stuff, but if we go to this one specifically, we can maybe do like this and then scale it a bit like that. So if we want to, let's say, rotate it like that. You can have something like spacecrafts or something just hovering behind here. You can paint in the rest. So if we go back here, you can even make these into, let's just do one object there. Maybe change the materials of them. You can do perhaps a bit more metallic. Decrease the roughness. Let's make them a bit darker. Perhaps something like, you can even add lights and stuff behind here. So like if I do something like this, let's do a light, point light. Maybe change that light to be super blue or something. And then duplicate that light up there. I mean, I'm just doing super quick thing right now, but I hope you understand sort of the main gist of 3D and how you can create these cool scenes very easily like this. And then let's switch around to and so then we can just let it render a bit. Can even do some denoising. And like super quick like that, you have something to work from. You can screen grab this or you can render it, and you can take it into Photoshop. We can even add some background to this, where we do stuff like instead of the color here, we can do an environment texture and choose an HDR or HDRI, and these are also free. For example, let's use the sunflowers, see how that looks, and take away the ray visibility. So this actually lights up the whole scene. And now we have some clouds in the background as well, and you actually get like realistic, you know, lighting. We can just take that away actually, all of the ray visibility for that. So we have the original one, but still remain with the background. And then, you know, you can just move around the whole scene and find a cooler looking shot if you want to have that. And these are just some random textures that I just took here. But yeah, so I just wanted to share that with you guys, how 3D sort of just can be an amazing tool for artists. And I use it all the time in my work and in a bunch of stuff. So yeah. So, you know, once we have something we like, we can just take a screenshot or something, or even render it completely. But let's say we want this thing here, and then we'll do cycles. Let's do full screen. Let's let it render a little bit. You know, just something like that. And then I'll just print screen this thing. You can go into Photoshop. And here's the project, by the way, what we're going to do in the course later. So we can do that. Paste that in. And now we can just start painting over it. You know, just regularly. Because now you have this sort of base that you can use. And you can get away from all this like sort of 3D-ness. You can maybe do the mixer brush. Oops. That should be, let's do maybe this one here. We can start painting over here. You know, you can zoom in, scroll around, and just paint as you want it. So this one was really weird. We can just take that away. You can use linear dodge for this. Maybe do some funky stuff there. Can flip the screen and, you know, do whatever we want here. And obviously you can get a much better render than this, but kind of see how the main workflow is. Can even take like render outputs, the render passes, and create some really nice different render layers that you can use later. You know, if you want to make it a bit more blue there, you can do that. Go in here, use the burn tool, But yeah, I won't go too in depth into this one. Obviously I can, I would like to do better than this, but at least you see the sort of workflow and the way that you can use 3D in not just, this way, but actually with anything, really, anything you can imagine. If you can imagine it in 3D, you can create it inside of Blender, which is completely for free. So yeah, it's just awesome. And just to give a quick little insight into that painting you saw in the beginning there, so this is sort of how we're going to be setting it up. So we'll be creating exactly this. You don't even need to have any painting skills to do this. We'll be having these characters here. We'll even model some of these things here. So for example, the sword there. We'll be sculpting and modeling that thing. And you can just scroll around and see like where a cool shot would be. So if we just go to like 0 here to this camera, just hit render. You see, we have a really good sort of starting ground for our actual painting later. I can change the foreground and like the textures here. If I want to change that right now, I can go to that, and we'll be setting all this stuff up. It looks kind of complicated now, but it makes sense later. I can change the normal. So if you look at this rock here, for example, and if I change this normal now, you'll see how the moss will sort of change on it. You see there? So this is procedurally. You can build anything and it will add this sort of texture to it wherever this is facing. We can do so much cool stuff with math, really, like with this 3D stuff, these nodes here. And also, like if I want to, I don't have to be down here, I have set it up the scene so I should be down there, but we can even go, let's say we want somewhere like some angle like this instead. And now this scene is actually, it doesn't have the proper light, the proper water, that so it looks good from up here. You can do that with a bunch of cool stuff like volumetrics and make it look super realistic. But for example, like I can just check here if I like this thing, just to see if I like that as well. Maybe this could be something like you can see some people climbing here or something, and the perspective is already there. And that's the really cool thing about 3D. Like you're gonna scroll around here and see what sort of angle you would like to have. And you can print screen that or actually render it, which we will do in the course there. So anyway, that's just a quick little insight into this scene. Alright guys, that's about it. So I hope that you find this video a bit inspiring. It's really an amazing tool with 3D. You can use it for so many things, and I've used it many times in my work, and also just for fun, for different personal projects. And obviously I couldn't cover too much in this video because, there's a lot more to cover. But I do have a really cool workflow that I want to share with you guys, and if you want to learn more about it, you can check out the description below to sign up to the waitlist for the 3D for Artists course, which is for absolute beginners, but also for intermediate people who have dabbled a little bit in 3D and who basically want to have some more insight into the workflow between creating art and making some 3D assets and stuff like that. So that's going to come up pretty soon. And yeah, please do let me know in the comments what kind of things you would want to create. Is it landscapes? Is it interiors? Maybe creatures? You would like more sculpting and stuff like that. There's so much cool things to do in 3D, and as artists, we can use it as a tool for our concept creations. Alright then, I'll see you soon. Stay creative.